our guests, Sam and Monica. Sam and Monica.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
We're Sam and Monica, and we met these guys a few days ago, approximately 50 yards away in IHOP, right there.
Yes.
So it's weird how this has come around, isn't it?
It's not weird. It's in the words of Scott Suprina. What would you say? It's fate. It's destiny. It's the universe.
It's the way the universe will work for you if you will allow it, and if you will watch, and if you will watch for it. No, he doesn't like anything that's not factually.
No, I've noticed.
Beyonce's a
He's
bad
the yin
performer.
to my yang.
No, hold on. Beyonce's a bad performer.
Beyonce's not one of the greatest performers. I'm in big trouble now.
Yeah,
I
you're
agree.
done.
She's not my style, but she's a fantastic performer, I think. She definitely knows what she's doing.
He's
And
so mad
and
at you.
she's monetized herself to the absolute extreme.
You guys are on drugs.
Wait.
All three.
Wait. But you see, where he's going is she's monetized herself to the absolute extreme.
Yeah.
Is making
She's
her
mastered
good
her brand.
in his mind.
Yeah.
Who are your top 3 performers, starting from Scott?
Oh, you'd have to give me time to evaluate.
Yeah, I can't think of
that.
anyone on this spot.
Who are your
But
top,
I would
who are
go
your
to
favorites?
a Prince. I would go to a Bruno Mars. I would go back
Yeah.
to somebody
Freddie
from
Mercury.
Motown. I'd go to a Mercury. I'd go to
Elton John.
your boy from the Stones, Jagger.
Yeah? Mick Jagger?
As pure performance, as pure energy on stage, coming at you like a freight train.
Basically, guys, the moral of the story is be British.
Actually, the moral of the story is be British, but be American while being British in your
Be
rearview
British
mirror.
and then move to America, because that's when you'll succeed.
That's what all the that's what all the good brave Brits did.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think I'll agree with what we were saying. Mercury, Elton John, Mick Jagger.
Ed Sheeran, because he does the loop pedal.
He's
he literally
all right
creates
now.
the music.
It's the
Oh,
first
from
one I
scratch.
agree with all
Well, that's
that.
So you know what?
pure
I'm going to say
talent,
that.
isn't it?
He's talented. For me, it would be probably Busta Rhymes,
Okay.
DMX, obviously Michael Jackson, James Brown.
Oh, I didn't even think
I mean,
about that.
James Brown, I watch him on YouTube because he's
I
amazing.
feel good.
Yeah, he's a bad man. So you talked a little bit about monetization, right?
Yeah.
You guys know a thing or two about monetization of branding.
Not to
and
the
all
level
that.
of Beyonce.
How'd you figure out how to monetize it?
We both got started in different ways. Mine's really embarrassing. I got started probably when I was like 12, making really stupid music videos. Like I would do like Taylor Swift music videos,
We're gonna have
like
to
in my
look that
mom's
up.
car.
Yeah,
Please don't look that
I
up. They're
think
still
they've been
out there somewhere.
I was going to say, haven't they been deleted now? Or?
Oh no, they're still there
That's
Are
somewhere.
those Vine days?
But yeah, it was
Oh,
actually way
yeah.
before Vine. But I
Okay.
was doing like my own music video. I just liked being on camera, like making content for people to enjoy. And then I ended up meeting you years later, and then we started changing up the content.
I started kind of as like a singer-songwriter at first. I was a little choir boy when I was young. I was in a cathedral choir, and then kind of naturally transferred from there to pop music and started like covering songs, playing guitar and piano and drums and all that kind of stuff. I kind of fell in love with Vine. You mentioned Vine.
Yeah.
I fell in love with kind of creating goofy little 6-second clips, and then from there kind of transitioned to YouTube and doing like skits and stuff like that. Like I'm not really very funny, but I was trying to do like comedy skits and stuff.
I mean, something worked.
They were really good. You're being humble. They were really funny.
They're dreadful.
They were.
And
they
then
did well.
and then met Monica, and we started the relationship kind of side of
Yeah,
things.
so we started just vlogging our everyday life because he lives in England, I live obviously in New York. So we just filmed like traveling back and forth and then like the struggles that we went through, and then people started to really latch onto that.
How did you guys meet?
We met. Okay. Do you want the long story or the short story?
I want the long story
I want
possible.
the full Monty.
All right. So if you want to watch the actual full story about it, it's on our YouTube video.
I love it.
See,
Little
he's
plug.
monetized.
Little
About
plug.
the paper, baby.
So I was doing this little thing called a meetup where I would kind of say where I'm going to be at a certain time and certain dates, and people, my social media followers would come and like say hi and take pictures and all that kind of stuff. And one of her friends came along who was a YouTuber, and we met and we kind of hit it off as friends, obviously no flirting or anything like that. And her friend lived in Scotland. So you want to take it from here? She showed you a picture of me.
So I knew her through YouTube also. So we all kind of met through YouTube basically. And she sent me a picture of Sam, and then I literally said, I want this guy to marry me. Like that's
I've literally got the text.
Yeah, I was like, that's
the
gonna be
first
my
thing she
husband.
said.
And by the way, at this point, I never had like a real boyfriend. Like I didn't even think I'd ever meet
You
him.
just
It was
jumped
like,
right in the fire.
He was just like beautiful. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna be my husband. I want this guy to love me. I was just like, cause she knew him. So I'm like, how can I like start talking to this guy? So she introduced us on Skype. And then that was over 5 years ago.
Yeah,
we
we
just started
chatted.
talking on Skype first.
Yeah, we chatted on Skype, and then Monica was going to fly over to the UK to visit this mutual friend, Emmy, in Scotland, but you booked your flight way in advance, and it turned out she had exams at university.
So I was going to
she
be
couldn't
traveling
come
by
down to
myself.
London. Yeah, she couldn't come down to London to meet her. So I live in Cheshire, which is like 3.5 hours drive from London. But obviously, most Americans don't realize that England is bigger than just London. Like, you know, when I say I'm from England, they're like, oh, what's it like living in London?
Yeah, they do that with New York.
Monica didn't realize I live 3.5 hours away. So I was like, yeah, I'll come and visit. She was like, yeah, cool. So I hopped on a train. We met at London train station, and we just kind of hit it off instantly, didn't we?
Yeah.
We didn't think it'd be anything serious. We were just kind of going with the wind, if that's the phrase. So we stayed in London together for 4 days, and then we were like, screw it, and we went to south of France for 2 weeks. In the south of France, I asked her to be my girlfriend.
Which I was not expecting.
And that was kind of, we were just kind of caught up in it, weren't we?
Yeah.
And then we went to Amsterdam together. And then we flew back
shocked.
Huh?
Trevor's shocked.
Yeah,
You see her face?
this was all on a whim.
How old were you then?
I was 18 and he
I was
was
like 19 or 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, and
that's
then I
good.
met his family the same trip.
Yeah, so then we went from Amsterdam back to my house in Cheshire. I was a kid at the time. I was living with my parents. So she came back and stayed at my parents' house, met my family, and then you finally went up to Scotland to visit your friend Emmy and flew home.
So this is all like the first 3 months.
This was within a month. Yeah.
Wow.
And then, so that was October 2015. We met on the 11th of October, asked her to be my girlfriend a few days later, and then she flew back start of November, like mid-November actually.
Yeah.
I flew over for her birthday at the end of November, and I was a broke kid at the time. I went into my bank overdraft to fly over, which I would
There
not
you
recommend.
go.
Yeah.
He overdrafted for this.
I did.
All in. Pushed them to the middle of the table.
I never mentioned
When's
it to
your
her
birthday?
until a few years later.
November 23rd.
20th.
There we go.
There we
So
go.
I flew over for her birthday, and that was that.
And then we
we've
just
been
went
going
back
strong
and forth ever since.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience.
Go on, what
I
was it?
met my wife, slept with her the first night, got up, went to my house, picked up everything I owned, and moved in.
That's pretty similar.
Wow.
Only had one date.
Interesting.
And on the 14th, it'll be 38 years. I mean, I got very, very lucky. I have a very special woman, and we've grown together instead of many couples grow apart. But you guys, I mean, I'll tell you, I watched your thing, and it's the openness. It's about living your life,
Yeah.
which I missed out on. I made mistakes. I lost the business. I lost the home with Lisa. And then I was behind the 8 ball, so I had to work to put that back. You guys are enjoying it as you do it.
Yeah.
That's a much smarter
I
path.
think people appreciate the honesty and openness that
Yeah.
we share, because there's so many people, we're obviously not going to name names, but who will put on a certain personality.
It's about
Oh,
trying
we've
to
been seeing-
sell who you are to
Exactly.
the camera rather than
Yeah.
being who. To me,
Yeah.
that's too difficult.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And to me, that's a problem with the world outside that door.
Yeah.
There's so much bullshit.
We realized that when we were at this YouTube event called Playlist. This YouTube event, basically, it's kind of fans and creators come together, they have an event, they have like Q&As, they meet each other, take pictures, autographs, all that kind of stuff. And we were on the creator lineup with people that were much, much, much bigger than us, like millions and millions and millions of followers. And when we really realized that this industry is crazy and so kind of shallow.
Convoluted.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
backstage when there was none of the followers around and it was just the creators. And
And
like
they
I
were
said,
being
I'm not
who
going to
they
name
were.
names.
Yeah.
But people were backstage saying, "Oh, I can't be bothered going out there and seeing my followers and stuff." It's
Which
like,
is like the
really,
real
they
reason
are
we're
literally
there.
the entire reason you are where you are.
Yeah.
Go and say hi.
But that's what exists outside the door. in
It was so
business.
sad.
There's no grateful.
Yeah.
There's no thank you. There's-
Exactly.
there's-
They're just trying to act
there
cool
was
at an
one YouTube person who they didn't even want to get in the elevator with us because they didn't know who we were.
I'm gonna be the cynic here. You know me. He plays the good guy, the
Well, you're not
spiritual.
playing a cynic. You actually are a
This
cynic.
guy is just a little Zen Buddhist monk over here.
Buddhist
me
monkey.
personally, I have to be real. I have to be a realist. Because if we'll be out there in Neverland on shrooms somewhere, I don't want to be that guy all the time, right?
There
Take
are no
some
shrooms involved.
It's a part of the relationship. You guys seem like a happy couple, but God forbid something goes wrong.
Yeah.
You guys are tied by the hip right now
Oh, 100%.
in terms of your intellectual property.
Yeah.
Is there ever any fear?
No. No, I know she's the love of my life and I want to marry her. And literally, I've never had a single fear about it.
I'm going to cry.
Mr. Cynic, are you aware of the words faith, and believe.
We're letting them talk right now.
I'm gonna jump in and
Sam
assist my new
Sam and
friend.
Monica
I'm
are
not gonna let
talking
you
about.
have your way
Sam
with
and
that.
Monica are talking. Just because you guys ruined my relationship because I didn't move in with my girlfriend the first week. Okay, because she's gonna listen. No, she's gonna listen to this podcast and be like, Trevor, why are you so slow? I gotta get this right now. So I'm
I want the exact date.
I'm gonna say so 8 months.
8 months.
Yes,
Okay.
possibly 7, but I'm gonna go for the high.
You're gonna go for 8.
I'm gonna go high. Yeah, I'm gonna
It's
go
a little
8.
sad you don't
'Cause time
go
passes
2
quickly having
weeks,
fun.
3 days, and 27 hours.
Listen, brother.
should
At
be
the end of
another
the
day,
day,
3
I
hours.
didn't go move in the first date with my lady.
Some people
beautifully.
just don't know, bro. Others know.
That's what you're gonna do to me?
I got up.
Because-
I woke up early in the morning. I went outside. I stacked piles of rocks around her house because I was staking a claim. That was that was mine, my brother.
Are you being
You
serious?
made a motor.
No, I lied about that, but that's what I did mentally in my head.
But there's never a point in time where there was any apprehension on either one of your parts.
Definitely.
Ever.
In the beginning, there was a lot
Yeah.
because we were young. We weren't really making much money, so
Yeah.
we were kind of like, "How is this going to work?" But for the past, I'd say, like for me personally, the past like 3 years, I've never even had a doubt. I just like know. I feel like when you know, you kind of like just know. It sounds weird.
Maybe it's a Long Island thing.
Maybe.
That's what it is.
And
you grew up
strangely
in Long
enough,
Island.
Stop it. You have
strangely
to
enough,
watch this.
my grandma, when she first saw her husband, so my grandpa, she even said the same thing, like, I'm going to marry that guy. So it's kind of crazy that, like, now I did
genetic.
that, and it's kind of working out for me. So I think it's like a nice little...
The genetic trait
nice
I'm
little
scared
thing.
about those.
Now, Sam, she said-
doesn't twins miss a generation, and you're gonna apparently have twins?
I
That's what
hope
I'm
I
scared
have
about.
twins.
Talking about genetics.
This would be
Generation.
great.
I'm
Thank
terrified
you.
of that.
I would
See, you
love
get
No,
it.
because then
You
she'd want
get it.
another, and I only want 2 maximum.
I want 4.
Monica's always wanted 4 kids, haven't you?
Yeah.
I've always
Chill out,
wanted
chill out.
1.
Yeah.
I'm in a family of 3. I've got 2 younger sisters, and I've always just felt like 1 always gets left out of everything. That's why I don't want 3, and 4 is just way too many.
4 is
for
like a
me.
party. Like, it's, you're
So
always having a
2
good
2
time.
I can stretch to, but 1 is ideal.
I'm
I
hoping
said
my
3
boys
is
have
fine.
5 each.
Really?
my goal.
My cousins have 5.
What?
I stopped having kids because I was worried about being able to send them to college.
See, that's a great segue into our next topic here. Scott is of the belief that if you believe it, you can achieve it, right? Scott's of the belief if you put in the work, it will come. Now, he just admitted to, right, having a mindset that he said 2 was enough kids because I have to go out and work to create a good life for my kids. This is our main argument on this podcast.
Right.
This is what we go back and forth
So-
on every day.
So my idea
Right.
is that by believing in something so hard, it becomes synonymous with being motivated to achieve it.
Okay.
So because he believes it, he had the motivation to go and achieve it.
But hold on, Scott, before you get going, because you know there's no stopping you. Scott's of the belief that all those sleepless nights, all those days of stress did not help him become the successful businessman
No.
and entrepreneur he is today. Now you're going to change the story.
No. You're missing something first that
Okay.
I do believe. If you believe it, it will happen. But the other part of that is, provided while you're doing this belief thing, that you're operating within the laws of what's reasonable and kind. If you're screwing people, you better work hard because the universe is not going to help you. But if you are doing the right thing, if you're treating others as you would like to be treated, then your belief will be reinforced by the universe and you will be assisted. What I did, because it was fear that drove me, I don't want to lose another house. I don't want to lose another business. I put in every effort because I did not have the faith. Quite frankly, had no faith. Faithless. When you lose everything, what are you going to have faith for? Nobody helped me. By the way, I also was not the world's nicest person at that time. No one really should have helped me.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I think you miss sometimes, and I'm saying it so that you get it. I firmly believe that there's a way to operate in which you're respecting everybody and you're giving what you would like to get. At that point, when you're doing that unselfishly, the universe will help you. And by the way, proof of that, and this is my whole theory for this company is going to grow without me putting in 18 hours a day. This company is going to grow without me killing myself. This company's going to grow without me taking 20 grand from Shylock and paying him $1,000 a week. If that ends up being true, and the result is this company flourishes to a $100 million company, wouldn't that be something people would start incorporating into their formula for the company? That they start a company and it starts with a charitable end. Because that is one of the keys to success. That's what this exercise is about. And I submit to you, I went to IHOP and found two wonderful young people who are similarly minded. They may not even know it yet. I may have said some of that and they might have said, I never thought of it that way. But what I'm telling you, I tell you because it happened. This is not a belief, this is my experience. Yeah.
I'm not against that. I do think what you give out will come back.
Yes.
I believe in karma. I think if you're a bad person, then chances are bad things are probably going to happen to you.
You know, you read anything spiritual, you read it by anybody, that the universe will assist you.
Yeah.
What if people actually believed that and anticipated that assistance? I could, in the old days, believe me, I was the hardest working person on the planet. I forced things to happen. I built rental jobs that guys said you can't do it in a week. I did it in a week. But by the way, I was also assisted. I could tell them the Empire State Building story.
That's a good story.
What's that? Tell me.
I had a job for Helmsley Spears, which owns the Empire State Building at the time, probably 15 years ago.
Okay.
I was contracted because a guy came up to the roof of the Empire State Building in his wheelchair, inspecting for ADA, Americans with Disabilities, rolled up to the roof and said, wow, this is incredible. I just got up to the roof of the Empire. I'm impressed. This was early in the ADA development. He goes, I'd like to go outside to the observation deck. There were 6 steps going outside and he couldn't go. I get a phone call. I don't know that story. I get a phone call and they go, Scott, can you come in? We need some tiered viewing decks. You're the guy who has them in stock. You rent a lot of the stuff. Shit. It's all shit. I was making a comeback from being broke, decided seating and rental is where I was going to make my stake. I said, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. That was a Thursday. I go to the Empire State Building. It's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. It's shut down because they won't allow them to use it. So I get up to the observation deck, the door's open. There's 15 people. There's 4 engineers. There's 4 architects. There's 2 guys who own the building. And they're handing me pieces of paper. We need to build this. We need it done by Saturday. I go, guys, this is Thursday afternoon. I'm in the middle of Manhattan. I'll go back to my shop. I'll see what I have that is close to this. I'll give you a price. If you want to do it, we'll be here Saturday night. But I can't build it. You don't have time to build it. So they said, okay, you got something close? Yeah, I got something I think will work with it. So I go back to my shop. I add up. If I would have rented this same product to a high school, I probably would have got 20 grand. So I thought, here's my chance. I can make some real money.
Yeah.
They need it. So I go, okay, I'm going to have to go in there. Da, da, da. I put a number on it. I remember something in the area, $84,000. So this is good. I'm going to make $70,000 on this deal. That'll help a lot. So I call the guy up. I go, listen, it's $84,000. He goes, do it. I went, wow, that was a very low price. I should have said $284,000.
Jesus.
So I go in there with my crew and I take a friend of mine who used to work weekends. When I built the business, I used to go and install everything I sold. So I take Jeff with me, who was a grain trader on the exchange. And he'd work weekends with me. So we go in there at 10 o'clock at night because it was after the tours were over. To my surprise, by 10:30, we're on the roof with all the product. I thought that would be the problem. So we start to put it together. There's 6 sections of these little tiered things with a plexiglass panel. To make the story quick, we get the first one built in an hour and a half, so it's 12 o'clock at night. I try to screw the plexiglass panels to the aluminum. I was using something called a tech screw. And I shoot the tech screw in, and apparently all my tech screws are bad. They will not drill the hole. And I don't have drill bits because I'm not anticipating. There's no all-night hardware. I'm screwed. So I say to Jeff, this isn't working. And I know these guys. They're real estate guys. If I'm not done by 8 o'clock in the morning, they're not paying me.
Yeah.
They're not paying me half. They're not paying me.
Yeah.
They're going to say, you couldn't open, I lost business, whatever. So Jeff goes, hey, let's do what we always do. Let's take a couple hours, finish the other ones. We'll figure it out. Something will come up. Okay, let's do that. 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, Jeff, we got 2 units left to do. I still can't figure anything out. I don't have any way of doing this. And he's going, we'll figure something out. Give it another hour. We'll get these done. So it's like 4 in the morning. He goes, come on, let's take a walk. We walk outside. down the 6 steps outside. It's raining, it's drizzling, and I look around and there's an air conditioning duct between me and him that's about this tall. And I look down on my side of the air conditioning duct and my hair's standing up right now, and this is 20 years later. And I go, Jeff, it's gonna be all right. And he goes, what? And I reach down and I scoop out of a 5 stainless steel milk pail, right? Brimmed with tech screws.
Oh my God.
On the roof of the Empire State
Oh
Building,
my God.
on that night that I need them, with nothing else around. And I scoop
Wow.
my hand in it, and I bring my hand up to where he could see it, and I go, my hair's all standing up, I go, we're going to be all right. And he goes, what the I go, Jeff, apparently it's raining tech screws. And the coolest thing was, they're called Tech 5s. I had never heard of them. They not only are the best tech screw made, but they're the right length, and they have a rubber gasket on them, which mine did not have, so you don't break the plexiglass.
Oh my gosh.
So apparently when
Wow.
Angel brings you tech screws, they do the
They
research.
upgrade you as well.
They find the best one, and money's no object.
Yeah.
But to me, I tell this story to people, and they go, well, somebody left that there. I go, do you even know what a tech screw is? You know, it's not like they left a hammer.
Yeah.
I could see they left, but that actually happened. And that was the beginning of me saying, you know what? I'm not alone. And you could say whatever you want. You could tell me, hey, that's a coincidence. A bucket of tech screws on the roof of the Empire State Building the night I needed them?
Yeah.
That's not a coincidence.
Yeah, that's
And then I
actually
walked
crazy.
out and found them.
Yeah.
You know, and the attitude that I had, that I always had, and this is probably what you've been driving at, the thing that was the biggest factor in my prosperity. I don't like the word success. I think it's relative to how you think. In my prosperity was my stick-to-itiveness. I never gave up. I never gave up.
Yeah.
And I think that's rewarded, but I think also do the right thing. Share with people before you have it to share. You know, I tell a story all the time when I was a kid in school and I would have a good lunch and some kid would have no lunch. I didn't eat what I wanted and then give him the rest. That's sharing today. If you don't need something, give that away and you have shared.
Yeah.
That's not sharing, that's donating. Okay? When you take your sandwich and rip it in half, even though you could eat the whole sandwich, and give it to the other kid, that's sharing. That's, if you're sharing before you have it, it is my experience that the universe knows that, and when you need, it will be there.
When did you realize that this could be a job, that this could be life?
For me, I think it's kind of like when it started funding my travel and everything, you know, my whole life, where I didn't need to work anymore anywhere else. Like this was like my main source of income, where it's like I can't really do anything else right now because this is really kicking
Full-time,
off.
yeah.
It started really kicking off, where it was just us in the beginning for about 3 years, where we're like, it was like it's our baby, so we didn't like want to hire anybody to help us at first. We were very hesitant.
Yeah.
And then it started getting too much, where it's like we can't handle this on our own anymore. We have clients like all around America and in England. So
We had more people wanting to sign up and we couldn't
Yeah, we couldn't
physically
handle it anymore.
handle more hours. We were doing 18-hour days, both of us.
Yeah, so then we hired a few people to help us out, and it kind of just continued to grow that way.
First step in monetizing a page would be what? Whether it be a YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok.
Pick a niche
Yeah.
or niche, as you guys say. Pick a niche, stick with it.
Yeah.
There's too many. The market's so saturated on social media now that you can't be a jack of all trades. You know, you can't be a makeup guru one day and then a fitness expert the next. You got to pick a specific niche and stick with it. Focus on the content. Focus on what you enjoy doing, because that's what you're going to be doing for the long run. Don't just focus on what you think other people are going to enjoy seeing. Focus on what you enjoy doing and just make it as good quality as you possibly can.
Is there any pitfalls of social media, especially being a YouTube couple, Instagram couple, and entrepreneurs? There's a lot of people trying to take you guys down as well, and social media is just taxing.
Oh yeah.
At the same time, I heard you guys say the other day that you're trying to find an exit strategy, so to speak, on just running businesses and not being so much in the light.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
I just want to say firstly, like, we're nothing like in the light as much as a lot of people
Yeah.
on social media. Like, we are so small time compared to a lot of people.
But you guys did a hell of a job building, though. You should.
But yeah, I don't know how many followers we got between us. Well over 1 million.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think the thing that kind of grinds on me more than anything is the fact that we don't have a private life whatsoever. Like we get people messaging us being like, oh, how's this sister? And it's like, how have I ever talked about this sister?
There's been times
And stuff
where,
like that.
I remember in England, it was actually kind of scary. We were on the underground, which is like the subway, and there was a girl who followed us for like a few blocks, taking pictures of us holding hands and then like putting it on Twitter.
because she noticed you.
Yeah, but it's like, followed us to where we were going, like
That's
our
creepy.
hotel, where it's kind of like,
She never introduced herself. She just
yeah, it's
uploaded
kind
it
of just
to
like
Twitter.
disrespectful. Like,
And
you could come
saw
say
your-
hi.
You saw your trip down the street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is kind of just like strange where some people don't kind of respect that kind of stuff, but the majority of our followers are like really, really cool, and we became friends with a lot of them, and they're just really supportive.
I've had a couple of really creepy experiences though. That was one of them where it was just kind of weird. Another is when I was vlogging, when I used to live at my parents' house, I filmed the outside of my parents' house.
Oh no.
People turn up.
And it's
for
in the
it.
middle of nowhere, keep in mind, literally
Middle of
in the
nowhere.
countryside.
I've never mentioned the address, nothing. I've mentioned I live in Cheshire, which is like, Cheshire's like the size of Long Island.
Right.
It's like, it's not specific it's not the size of Long Island, but it's not specific whatsoever.
It's hard to find where you are.
Hard
Yeah.
to find. And a car full of girls turned up to my parents' house. I wasn't there at the time. The weirdest thing that's happened was I had this, so I used to be like a regular extra on this TV show in the UK called Hollyoaks, and I would always travel through this one train station called Lime Street in Liverpool to go and film, and I did it like 2 or 3 times a week for a year or so, a couple of years, and people kind of got to know my schedule, and they got to kind of know when I'd be traveling through a train station.
Oh God.
And this girl one time missed me, so she waited 11 hours at the train station for me to go back through the train station after my filming day
And
was
keep in
done.
mind, something I feel like is really important is she was like 8 years older than Sam. So this was like an adult. She was like 27 or like something.
Yeah.
She was like much older.
I was like 18. She was
She's
like
like
27 at the time. She was a lot
And can you
older
tell
than
us what you learned from that experience?
me. Well, wait for it. Wait for it. So she waited for like 11 hours. As I was coming back through, I was going to be late for my train, so I was in a bit of a rush. I stopped, said hi, took a picture with her, had a chat with her, stuff like that. But clearly I didn't give enough of my time to her.
Oh.
I was so grateful she'd
she
waited
blew
so
you
long
up?
and stuff like that. So she turned into my biggest hater. She found my mom on Facebook. Wait for
tough.
this. Wait for this.
That's tough.
She tried to convince. She would comment on every single one of my photos, commenting back to people saying how bad of a person I was because I
surely
didn't spend more
blocked
than
her.
2 minutes with her. Blocked her. She created fake accounts.
Yeah.
She found my mum on Facebook.
No.
Wait for this.
No.
You know how on iPhones you can text yourself, can't you? You can text your own number and then delete the first message to make it look like you're having a conversation with someone. She did that,
That's sick.
pretending it was me. She didn't have my number.
Put your name up.
She did that, put my name at the top, text herself this whole conversation, saying, "I'm glad your grandma died, and I'm surprised you weren't part of the death." And since it's my
Yeah.
mum on Facebook,
It was brutal messages.
saying that your son has texted me this.
How much time?
My
do these
mum
people-
comes storming into my bedroom. I was living at home at the time. She comes storming into my bedroom. She was like, "Sam, what the hell is this?" So I looked at her. I was like, "I swear that's nothing to do with me." And she goes, "Oh, I know. The grammar's appalling. I know it's nothing to do with you, but you've got to really get a hold of this."
Yeah, she was.
That's
She was
crazy.
nice
Yeah.
to me though. Side note, I met her too. She was very nice to me.
What's the end goal?
End goal?
Happily ever after. What are you paying attention?
The end goal is...
It's everybody's end goal.
Yeah.
It's everybody's end goal. Correct?
I'm
Very
talking about
true.
business.
Camera, sound.
Not the
I
relationship.
feel like it's different with
business.
our, because we have a few things going on with our Infinite Management, the social management company. I think we're looking to probably continue to grow that and then maybe pass it on to somebody, sell it. We're not too sure yet. But for social media, like our own videos.
Not in the short term, though.
Yeah. Our own videos are super enjoyable for me, at least. Like,
I think
I
we've-
love making them.
We found exactly what we really enjoy doing right now,
Yeah.
haven't we?
So I feel like that's going to stick for maybe like a very, very long time because there's a lot of like
We'll put it
family
this way.
vloggers and
Well,
everything
plus
like
it
that.
also
So we
becomes
never know.
more involved.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, you guys connect and keep it going, then it's more
Yeah.
interesting. A day in the life.
Yeah.
And put it this way, we were doing our social media for like 4 years before we started actually making, well, we're not making a living off it. Like our business makes more than our social media.
Yeah.
So I still kind of class it as a hobby. But we were doing this and vlogging consistently and uploading content every day and stuff for free for years before
Yeah.
we even made money out of it. So that kind of proves that it's a real passion. It's
Yeah,
not
we
just...
love
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
but you guys, because you have the other business, you can do whatever you like on social media
Yeah.
and be true to yourself.
And that
Yeah.
goes
You
on to
don't
my
have
end
to
goal.
chase the dollar.
Yeah.
That goes on to my end goal. My end goal used to be, up until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, my end goal used to be, I just want to accumulate as high net worth as possible. I want to, you know, blow my competition out of the water. And I was a really competitive guy, wasn't I? It was actually when I read, what was it? 4 Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss.
It's a good book.
You read that book?
Yeah.
No.
He basically, he works 4 hours a week. He's got, I think he's making, well, he's got a net worth in 9 figures now. No, 9 figures. He's got a multiple 9-figure net worth now. But when he wrote the book, he was making, I think he was grossing $700K a month.
Wow.
From this business. He'd outsourced the whole thing, and he was working 4 hours a week. And due to that, the free time that gave him, considering he was barely working, he's become a Guinness World Record holder. I think he's won like a martial arts
karate,
competition in China.
That's cool.
Stuff like that. He's become a surf instructor.
He's
I think,
grown
stuff
other
like,
sides of himself.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's my end goal now. Ever since, that's kind of really changed my mindset on a lot of things. And instead of just wanting to accumulate as much wealth as possible, as much monetary wealth as possible, I'm kind of viewing the word wealth in a different way. And I just want as much free time to spend with my future family and stuff. So my end goal is to create as much passive income as possible so that I can enjoy my time.
My experience was, and I was always very competitive, very aggressive, very whatever. Hey, I'll have a couple of $1 million before I'm 30 years old. The money came when I stopped worrying about the money.
Yeah.
When I started working for the work, doing the work, performing and diligently wanting to provide what I promised to provide, that's when the money came.
Yeah.
And it's a hard lesson to learn because
I think
this society is so competitive. You think if I beat the other guy, I'll make money. Well, you beating the other guy does not guarantee you'll make money.
If there was any advice you'd give to Sam and Monica moving forward in their relationship, what would it be?
The thing that I thought was the biggest epiphany I ever had was when I was married and I was having a hard time early on. And I was questioning, hey, is this the right woman? You know, she's doing this and I'm not crazy about that and everything else. For some reason, I'm walking by a mirror and I looked in the mirror and the light bulb went on. In the course of my life, there's probably been 2, maybe 3 times when I'm looking in the mirror that if I could have walked away from that guy in the mirror, I would have. If I literally could have said, I'm divorcing you, we're done, and I'm leaving, and start over, I would have. In my marriage, the thing that makes a marriage work is hard work and love, you know, and not giving up. And the people who have really healthy marriages were faced with walking away and chose not to. Just like you'll grow and just like you'll do things in your lifetime where you go, God, I wish I had that to do over again. And you do, so you can do it over again. But you have to look at your life and say to yourself, I could walk away from this or I could fix it. I could actually find out what's wrong. My parents were married for 30 years. Then they left each other. And I wanted to know, what was that? Because if you ever had love, where did it go? It was a choice. My mom became too aggravating for my dad to live with, and my dad became too aggravating for my... So I used to aggravate the hell out of myself. Yeah. But I fixed that because you have no option. And if you value the relationship, you have no option.
Did they get a divorce once they were both retired?
No, they got a divorce once all the kids were out of the house. I went into college, they divorced.
I was going to say they had distractions up until that point.
And they were not growing together.
Yeah.
It's like my wife and I are both on a spiritual path, and we're lucky because we took the same turns. But I was sitting in the living room the other day. I think I told Trevor that I was sitting there and I went, I just love sitting here with her because it's always entertaining and we break each other's chops and we laugh a lot.
Good.
You know, and the kids are out of the house and it's like, I'm totally ready for the kids to be out of the house. There are a lot of perks that come with the kids not being around, and I am down with that. But I love visiting my boys. My boys, I think I told you, bought the houses next to each other. My 2 sons live next to each other.
That's amazing.
Their backyards adjoin, and they're having grandkids.
Oh,
so grandma and grandpa got one stop to see all the grandkids. It's like perfection.
That's great.
Very nice.
I always wanted a compound. Now I got one.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I was going to say, actually, talking about kind of the divorce rate and stuff like that. So the United Kingdom, obviously where I'm from right now, is in a complete lockdown. Not allowed to leave the house unless I think you're allowed to exercise once a day and you're allowed to go for essential trips to the grocery store. That's it. We actually had a lockdown half a year ago or so. That was the same thing. And the divorce rate shot up because people weren't used to spending so much time with each other. Married couples had so many other distractions, you know, with jobs and friends and other commitments and stuff like that, that even though they were married, they're strangers to each other.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is that a lot of the relationships are based on secrets.
Yeah.
You know, there's a saying that says you're sick as your secrets. A marriage can't forego that.
No.
You can't hold those secrets. That's what I like about watching you guys. I know I'm getting the truth because there's some uncomfortable answers that you force yourself.
Oh no, you watch those videos.
Oh my gosh. And then my mom texts me saying, Sam, I just watched this video. Your dad stopped watching halfway through. It's too embarrassing. I'm like, oh
but
no.
You force yourself to answer, and that's what the world needs. So I like that part of it. I find that's the way it has to be. If you're making the shit up, it won't last.
Yeah.
If you say something to her that is a half-truth, 38 years is a long time. She'll find out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going for 50 or 60, so 38's a long time. I hid the secret for 38 years. Every night I go to sleep and go, oh, shit, is she going to find out?
Yeah.
It's not
Grinds
worth
on you every
Yep.
single day.
It's just not worth doing that. But, you know, then you're sharing your life. And a lot of people, I say to you,
Oh, here we go.
that is your hesitancy. Your hesitancy is letting somebody in and joining them in your life. That means sharing. That's what, not sharing when you feel like it. Wake up sharing. Wake up open and exposed. That's what that means. My sons aren't great at it. You're not great at it. Lisa and I had an advantage. We kind of needed each other. We helped each other. When I met her, I had no balls. Now I got balls and she's got a sense of humor. That's what happens after 38
Are you saying
years.
she didn't have a sense of humor when you got together?
Correct. She did not. When you're that tough, you don't have...
So she didn't find it funny you putting all the rocks around her house?
My wife in Las Vegas knocked out guys with one right hook. Guys. My wife is a beautiful, strong woman, and she made me stronger, and I'm grateful for it. And I made her funnier. And now we look at each other and just go, wow, this is crazy.
You know, it's weird that you said that because I feel like our personalities have kind of merged a bit more since we've been
Definitely.
together. Obviously, it's not 38 years, it's 5 years, just
Yeah.
over.
Well, it happens the whole time.
But when we first started dating, I was so at my own ass. I was an absolute prick. I was a little bugger. And
You were cocky.
I was cocky.
Yeah.
I thought I was God's gift.
Funny, I could see that. I see the remnants of cocky.
Oh, yeah. Thank
He
you.
would know.
Yeah.
Well, no, you have to be loaded for cocky. You have to have something to be cocky about.
But Monica, on the other hand, most introverted. I don't want to say insecure. You weren't insecure, but you
I
were
was
introverted. You were really shy. This was the kind of girl you wouldn't even ask for ketchup at a restaurant. She was
Yeah,
too
I'd be
scared to ask for
scared.
ketchup at a restaurant.
Because I wouldn't want to make like
You
the
were
waitress
timid?
to like
Very
go out of
timid.
her way to
Oh,
help me. Like I was
yeah,
very, I don't know.
But we've kind of obviously
balance.
I'm naturally a lot more outgoing, and you're naturally a lot more kind of. You're much more of an empath, aren't you, than me, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And that's never going to change. But you've got a lot more confidence as we've been dating, and I've kind of
You've gotten much
See, that's
Nicer.
Yeah.
No, that's when it works.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
see, it also works especially because you can say, I got that from her.
Yeah.
oh, I definitely
Where men, as a race, have a hard time saying that.
Oh, definitely.
You know, I find it, but I grew up with 3 sisters. You grew up with a couple of sisters. Mine were older. And I don't really see that difference.
Sam and Monica, I appreciate you guys for coming down.
I appreciate
Thank
you
you.
having
It
us.
was delightful. I'm glad
this
I
was so
caught up
fun.
and got to know what you guys really do for a living.
We
It's
actually
like
haven't
they
talked.
don't even have a damn job.